Let's do an easy sunset painting with a Valentine's twist. Taking a mop brush with yellow and white, I'm going to do a few back and forth strokes in the middle of my canvas, and then without washing the brush, dip right into orange. Start where the yellow left off and do a couple strokes, but then do a couple down into the yellow to help blend that line where they meet. Then I dipped right into pink and did a couple back and forth strokes, blending it down into the orange just a little bit. Don't go down into your yellow, you don't want that to turn pink. And then at the very end, dip into your darkest color. I'm going to do a dark purple and go all the way to the top, and don't be afraid to blend it into that pink a little bit as well. And then dry it. I want a big setting sun, so I'm going to use my large pouncer and dip into some of that yellow and white I used in the sunset. Mostly white because I'm going to use it like a stamp and press down, twist, and pull up, and then dry it. Because we're going to do some mountains in front of it with a size 10 round brush, taking some dark brown, make it a little darker with black, do a line underneath your yellow, straight across. And then you can design your mountains. I want them to be short mountains, so I don't want to lose my yellow, but I'm doing a wavy line. It went across the sun too, and then fill in between. There we go. Now taking the same round brush, I'm going to use some dark green and start filling in underneath my mountains with short back and forth strokes. But I'm not using my mop brush because I'm going to leave a big space on the left-hand side to have a lake peeking in. So figure out where you want the grass. I'm even going to add a little bit of yellow for highlighting in my grass. You can make it as detailed as you want. I want this sunset landscape to be very simple today because what we're going to do next should be the focus. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So add as much grass color and detail as you want, and then clean off this round brush. I'm going to use some bright blue and navy with even a little bit of black, and I'm going to fill in that space just with short back and forth strokes. I'm going to make it a little bit darker towards the bottom of my lake and have it brighter towards where the sun is, and make sure it meets up with your grass. See, I'm going to do darker navy towards the bottom and brighter towards the upper part. There we go. Now make sure your blue is dry so your sun reflection doesn't turn green. But I'm taking a smaller round brush now, and right underneath the sun in the water, I'm going to do a few back and forth strokes. Very lightly, I'm using the tip of my brush and I'm barely pressing down on it. Make sure all these little lines are horizontal. You don't want them going diagonally or crossing over each other, but we're just going to do a couple all different lengths. See how some are longer than others? And if you have trouble blending it, don't worry. While it's still wet, just grab a little bit of water on your brush. Clean it off and get some water, and you can really fade it in. See how the water just kind of fades out those edges? But don't worry if you do too much. Here, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Go back in with some blue, and you can fix up whatever you like then. There we go. It is fun once you get the hang of it, so try it out and let me know how it goes. Now, that was my simple sunset. Let's make it a Valentine's theme. Taking a size 3 round brush and some pink, I'm going to do a horizontal line here, and then make the shape of a balloon. We're going to do a hot air balloon shape today. So I'm going to slowly curve these lines up. It looks like a flattened U shape. And I'm going to go up to about there and then do a dot that matches up with the middle of that horizontal line, and then curve them around, just like that. Have you ever been in a hot air balloon? I haven't, but I feel like it would be a good Valentine's Day date idea. So that's what we're going for today. Using my large round brush, I'm just filling in that balloon shape then. I used bright pink for Valentine's Day, adding a little bit of white to make sure it covers. Don't forget you can prime it white first if you want to do a different color. And then using a size 0 detail brush, let's start adding a design to the balloon. I'm going to make some very wide U shapes that are all connected going across the top of the balloon. And then I'm going to leave a space in the middle and do the same thing. It's going to be a little shorter because the balloon's shorter towards the bottom here, going across. There we go. Now let's start to make the balloon look round. I'm taking a size 1 round brush. You could use your detail brush if you want. At the first point, I'm going to curve a line up towards the top of the balloon. And then in the middle of the first U, I'm going to do another line curving up. I'm leaving a pink sliver on the left-hand side. And then I'm going to fill in between the two hot pink lines. Just like that. See how you have 2 strips of pink in the first U. We're going to do the same thing to each of those U's. Find a point, pull it up towards the top of the balloon, and then in the middle of the second U, curve a line up and then fill it in. Imagine the balloon is round, so all the lines on the left-hand side are going to be curving slightly to the right, and all the lines on the right-hand side are going to be curving slightly to the left. See that there? And notice how they're all ending towards the top of the balloon, but the left ones are towards the left-hand side of the top, and the right lines are ending towards the right-hand side of the top. I'm going to do a little sliver on this right side and fill that in. And let's do a tiny little sliver that's maybe peeking from the edge on the left here. And then repeat the same pattern on the bottom, but they're going to be going the opposite direction. So instead of doing the point, you're going to do underneath the point and then underneath the curve. See that? And then fill in each one. I'm using hot pink again for Valentine's Day, but you could do whatever color combination you want. Don't forget to make it your own. This is just a very simple hot air balloon painting pattern. And then I'm going to take my detail brush with some dark red and start adding a pattern to the middle section that I left blank. I'm going to do some hearts. Why don't we do a large heart in the middle? And then how about some smaller ones on the right and the left? You could really do any pattern you want here. My husband and I went to a hot air balloon festival a couple months ago, and I'll tell you what, it was so cool to see all the different kinds they had. We didn't get to go up in any though, unfortunately, because it was too windy. But they did have something called a balloon glow where they lit them at night and they looked like giant lanterns, so that was super fun. Don't forget to clean up your lines there as well. I added some polka dots. And then grab a detail brush. We're going to clean up the bottom. I'm using a little bit of pink and white to do a line there. And then I'm going to take some tan and make a basket. Didn't mean to line it up with the mountain here, but that's going to work because there's bright yellow. I'm going to do a square about an inch underneath the balloon. It's a slightly wider than the bottom of the balloon, and see how the lines on the right and left are tilted out a little bit? I'm going to fill that in with some tan, and then I'm going to take some lighter brown and start adding a pattern. Let's outline the bottom part, and I'm going to make it look like a woven basket. So why don't we do a couple rows of just X's? It's just a simple way to make it look like it's a woven basket. I'm sure there's a couple different patterns you could use. Then I'm going to take a little bit of the same colors and connect the basket to the balloon. Let's do 3 lines on either side of the basket, coming up to a point on each of the corners. And then I'm going to take some dark brown to outline it. And let's just start having fun now. I'm going to hang a couple different strands of lights coming off of the basket, 4 different long strands, and then dot in some yellow for lights. Maybe add some highlights and diagonal lines on the basket to make it look like the lights or even the sunset is shining on the basket a little bit. Why don't we even bring the yellow up into the balloon and add more polka dots? I like polka dots, makes it feel festive. Something about hot air balloons and maybe carnivals, they remind me both of the same thing. I'm even going to add some dots of white in the lights and maybe some shines in the hearts and even in the dots. There we go, makes it pop. And you could do so many different things here, but I'm going to keep it simple and just add a couple birds with a Sharpie, like that. You could add stars, you could add even another hot air balloon or 2. Just have fun with it. So let me know, have you ever been in a hot air balloon? I know I haven't, but I would rather be tethered. I don't know if I'd want to be this high flying, but it looks like fun. I'd love to see if you try this, and if you like this tutorial, follow me for more on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Happy painting!